Hello, it's your financial friend Maggie. Welcome to the Inside Out Money podcast.
Hey, Liz.
Hi, Maggie. Hello.
Hello to everybody.
My voice cracked there, but I was just so excited to see you.
That's a good, I think a voice crack is like a nice thing.
It is
you know?
nice.
You're just so excited.
So excited.
So excited. I hope all of you are excited. Welcome to Inside Out Money. This is a personal finance podcast focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. Every week, I speak with a rotating set of co-hosts about a different financial topic to help you improve your financial mindset and tactics. Today, we have co-host Liz, also known as Liz Gets Loaded, also known as Lizzo Gets Loaded, which we were just discussing. And we are going to tackle, it doesn't matter if it's Liz or Lizzo, right? You want to know why?
Why?
Because we're not going to let perfect be the enemy of good.
That's right.
It's probably like a terrible comparison, but they don't have to get your name right is my point.
Whether I am myself or a multi-platinum superstar.
Close enough. You guys look very similar too, So we're going to tackle a major mental roadblock that keeps many people, I think myself included for a long time, from making progress on our financial goals. And that is trying to get things perfect, right? I love the phrase, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. And perfectionism is truly what caused me to not start investing until I was 36 years old, which was crazily about 10 years ago now, close to it.
Bonkers.
I know, it doesn't sound right, but I guess the math works.
Oh, I didn't mean how old
you
were.
meant that bonkers that I'm so old. I was like, thanks, Lizzo.
No,
I'm going to go back to calling you Liz.
I meant that seemed bonkers that you didn't invest into. You mean you didn't invest outside of your 401k?
Yes, outside. But I also didn't max out my 401k.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing all the things I preach about doing now when I was younger because, and we'll get into this later, I was looking for the perfect plan. And I didn't, I was trying to get the 20% right instead of just focusing on the 80%. I was trying to make 100% of it right.
And you were worried about making a mistake.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't know to just focus on the basics.
Well, I would guess in that moment, too, that you didn't even know. It's not like you were consciously saying, oh, I don't even want to get 80% right. I want to get 100% right. You were kind of worried that if you didn't get that 20% right, you would be 0% right and you would screw it up. That's
true. And I also, similar to what you're saying, I didn't even exactly understand that there was an 80-20 here. Right. I kind of thought there's only one way to do this right. And I better find a professional who is going to get me that perfect, proper, official plan. And that puts a level of unnecessary pressure on ourselves, I think. I put a lot of pressure on me that I had to, in my case, that I had to find a professional because I wanted to do everything right and I wanted to figure out, what was right. And I think a lot of people that I talk to and questions I hear from people writing into the podcast and stuff are they're looking for, the absolute best high yield savings account. They're looking for, the lowest fee index fund, the best performance. They're trying to figure out how to time the market. They're trying to, they're just trying to get things, right, in their eyes, quote, perfect. And I think that obsession with perfect is what is actually holding us back, right? And that's that, phrase, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Sometimes good is good enough.
Yeah. It doesn't, I was about to say it doesn't matter if you choose Roth or traditional for your 401k. It matters, but it doesn't matter enough to stop you from doing it.
Yes.
Are you investing? Question mark. Yes or no?
While you're deciding, pick one.
Pick one.
And then,
And then don't decide to stress about whether you want to be in Roth or traditional later.
Yeah. And on that one, just quick aside, you have to be able to predict the future to know which one is truly perfect. And most of us can't predict the future. We can take our best guess on will we be earning, more or less money in the future. I would have predicted wrong back in my 20s. I wouldn't have been able to predict that I was going to, leave the workforce at 41.
Yeah.
And anyways, the other thing that I think is interesting about this is there are entire industries that are created and designed around trying to make us think that this stuff is difficult. Right? That it's so complex we can't possibly do it ourselves, so we must go hire someone to help us. And sometimes hiring someone can be helpful. I'm not like always knocking that. I know we do have our episode, I can't remember the number, but I'll put it in the show notes, but our episode about how to break up with your financial planner, where Andrew and I talk about the many reasons we're not huge fans of financial planners, particularly commission-based, not fee-based. I'm fine with fee-based hourly ones, but those are harder to come by. My point is, their entire industries created around how they operate and what the fee structure looks like and everything else, where no percentage-based financial planner ever tells you to just invest in basic, simple index funds, as an example. Because they wouldn't be like earning their keep. That's how it's presented.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Right. They only make money when they're bringing you perceived value, right? And so if they just say, oh, go buy an S&P 500 index fund, they can't charge you 0.5% on your total portfolio. This is always, as always, a good time to add our caveat that we are not telling you what to invest in. In the United States, you need a license to tell people what they should invest their money in, and neither of us has that license.
Do I have a license? No.
You know what we do have? 2 microphones.
Microphones.
Literally
anyone can go buy a microphone.
Just any ding dong can go buy a microphone.
Even Lizzo, she's got a microphone, She has a much nicer microphone and probably audio setup than we have.
She probably does. I would guess so. But we're just telling you what we think is a good idea. We're telling you what we do with our own lives and our own personal money and our own little personal brains inside our head.
Yeah. We're giving you our opinions. And as an example of opinions, I was looking at a friend's, this is what I do on a Saturday night. We were like sitting outside having some drinks, and I was looking at a friend's 529 plan upon their request. In her kid's 529 plan was like literally 25 different funds.
Whoa.
And it was just like 1% of this, 2% of this, 3% of this. The highest percentage I think was like 10%. It was very overly complicated, unnecessarily and overly complicated, in my opinion. Let's be clear. But it was the perfect example of that was put in there by a percentage-based commission percentage financial planner.
That's not what I would do.
That's not what I would do. And that's and this person's no longer working with the financial planner. So they were asking, what should I move it to? And I was like, this one fund. It was a total market index fund. And she was like, just one fund. I was like, yeah, just one fund. And so I think the idea is, we're going to explore in this episode what, quote, good enough looks like, and why focusing on the bigger stuff, right, which I'd call the like 80%, is the real secret that you want to get right in terms of making financial progress. So to use that 529 example, what's more important is how much she puts in her 529 plan, not whether it's in a total market index fund or whether it is in these like 25 different funds. And if you actually look at the performance of those 25 different funds over the last 10 years, which I looked at, they were subpar versus a total market index fund. Now, I'll just, along with disclaimers, say, right, what's the phrase? Historical returns are not indicative of future performance.
Right. And they just as easily could have outperformed. Like, it's random, right?
Yeah, they could have. They often don't, but they could have, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Liz, what's the problem with perfectionism?
Well, the biggest problem is when it stops you from taking action. So I'll often refer to it. I end up here at work a lot in analysis paralysis. And sorry for
like that phrase?
Corporate jargon. Do you know?
I like that phrase.
I like it too. And I think a lot of people don't like corporate jargon in general. I'm a corporate jargon apologist. I will say, circle back, I will say I don't have the bandwidth. I use all the jargon all the time, and I think it's fine. But apologies if that hurts your ear.
My jargon, I used to use a lot. My jargon's gotten like rustier over the last few years since being out of it. But but I like analysis paralysis. It's a good one.
I like analysis paralysis. I like that it rhymes, and it also describes me often. I run into this all the time at work when I don't know where to start on a project, and I think it's really common when you're looking at your finances and you think, there's so much to know. I don't want to make a mistake, so I'm not going to do anything. Yeah. And it's like we were saying a moment ago, it's not even necessarily that you're consciously making the decision of, hey, I'm going to be super perfectionist about this. I want to get it 100% right. You don't even know what you don't know. Yeah. But that's why you listen to podcasts like ours, and we'll say, hey, here's the basics.
Don't stress it. Yeah, don't stress about that. So, analysis paralysis, for those who maybe don't know what it means, but is the feeling of being overwhelmed by too much information. And this is literally like, not to keep going back to the same example, but when I started having larger amounts of money, extra money that I didn't want to just throw in a savings account, and I'll say I wasn't even throwing it in a high yield savings account at the time. At least interest rates were lower then.
Scandal.
I know, scandal. Scandalous. But in my late 20s and early 30s, I was on this quest for a financial planner, and I wasn't having analysis paralysis of like what specifically to invest in. I certainly could have gone down that path if that's what I was researching. I was just researching a human being that I should work with to get advice. And I was having analysis paralysis on that hunt because there's so many options. There's different fee structures. I finally found this firm. It was called Oxygen. That was like very much targeted towards young people. They actually had like an oxygen bar in the lobby where you could like hook up to flavored oxygen while you were like waiting to see. I should have known that was a sign, by the way. They also tried to sell me whole life insurance.
I also ended up in a financial advisor. I feel like same thing. I started kind of making a little bit of more money. And then a friend said, oh, you should talk to my financial advisor. And I thought, oh, great. This is my friend who is very smart. And if she likes this guy, I'll like this guy. And then we had a couple of meetings. Then he started going down the whole life insurance pitch. I went home and Googled it and then went, oh, this is a bad idea. Like, I don't think this guy's looking out for me.
You went a step beyond I did. I did not get there. I didn't actually buy it, but I don't remember what steered me away from it. But along with analysis paralysis, I was also experiencing fear of making a mistake, right? Which is a key piece of what is at the root of perfectionism is you're afraid to make a mistake. So you're seeking the most perfect solution and you don't want to choose the wrong thing. And so that's what was stopping me. It stopped me from missing out on years of growth in terms of having my money invested in the market. And I spent, 10 years in that pattern of, looking for someone to tell me what to do. Sort of, I worked with some, it like didn't work. I'd pull out and I spent a bunch of money. I wasted a bunch of money. And it turns out the whole time there was like a much easier, simpler path, which we can get into and we talk about on a ton of episodes, but it's just what I'd call DIYing it and just buying total market index funds. But
yeah, just as like a quick, again, we have many episodes, but as a quick aside, I think Maggie and I are both of the opinion that you can just do a little research and manage your investments yourself. Or I have tried out Nectarine, which is basically you pay $250, you get an hour of a financial planner's time and they'll point you in the right direction. And I think maybe somewhere deep in my email, I might have like a referral code for them, but I will just tell you for free. Like, go, Nectarine's great.
I have your referral code in one of our past show notes, so I'll put
there
it in.
There you go.
But that was launched, by the way, Nectarine was launched by Personal Finance Club, and we really like them as an organization. But they basically created this network. They're not personally giving you the advice. They created this.
Yeah, it's like Uber for financial planners.
That's a great way of saying it. Yeah.
Do you remember when you were looking around? I remember also getting stuck because I was looking for a financial. Again, I thought I needed a planner. I thought I needed a guy. It's always a guy to tell me what to do. And a guy I volunteered with actually ran a wealth management firm. And I thought, oh, okay, I know Andy. This is great. I'll go look up his company. And I looked on their website and I think they had something that said, we only work with people who have a net worth of $1 million or more or have something like 500,000 in assets that need to be managed. So it was some number that I was not at yet. And I thought, oh, okay, this is not for me, I guess.
Oh, like this is only for people with like lots of money.
Yeah, I think it reinforced this idea that I had that, investing and like managing your money, sort of in quotes, is only for people who have far more money than I do.
Yeah, just totally not true.
Right.
I do remember seeing some, and I remember seeing a lot that had graduated percentages. Like the percentage got lower as you had more money with them. So if you didn't have a lot of money with them, you were paying a much higher fee.
Yeah.
And then also, Greg and I even ended up working with someone that was fee-based, but basically charged an annual fee. And it was expensive. It was like $5,000 or $6,000 for the two of us. And yeah, money I'll never get back. Oh, and to me, that amount of money also just implied, like, well, you must have a lot of money if you're willing to pay that much money just for someone to manage your money.
Yeah. And for it to be worth it. I also, what I would say too is you're talking about all of these things. Okay, I did this and this wasn't the right thing to do and this wasn't the right thing to do. And at the same time, I would say, Maggie, what's that old country song? Like, God bless the broken road that like led me straight to you. Because even though you did that,
could you sing it for me?
God bless the broken road. That was I think it was my friend's wedding song, if I recall correctly. Anyways.
Oh, I like it.
I think it's Rascal Flatts. Apologies to Rascal Flatts for that rendition. But you were fumbling your way there. And in a way, you were doing what we're talking about. You were saying, hey, I know that I'm supposed to do something here. I have this money. I want to make the best out of it. And even though you paid someone $6,000 a year to do something, maybe that wasn't the right thing. That was still better than taking no action. When I first started putting money, I feel like I got to the point where I realized, okay, I have extra money beyond my 401k, beyond my HSA. What do I do with this when it comes to investing? And I got so far as to understand I needed to open a taxable brokerage and put money in there. And I knew Vanguard was good. I knew enough from the internet, like, oh, Vanguard, they
have a good reputation.
Exactly. And so I ended up going with, they have these like growth mutual fund things. I don't know. I ended up somewhere on their website. And so I put a bunch of money into these funds that were, I don't know, maybe they had a 0.5% or a 1% fee, which is, again, like not the best thing. It was an actively managed fund, but still that was better
than what I was doing.
Exactly. Like totally. Well, no. That's not what I meant. Not better than what you were doing. I'm saying better than doing nothing.
Yeah, but I meant when I was, because for a long time I was doing nothing. I didn't do that $6,000 thing until I was like in my like late 30s. So okay. That's what I mean by better than doing nothing. Like I was I wasn't being self-deprecating, but I wasn't in the. That is better than being in analysis paralysis and fear of making a mistake, right? But now I will say I'll caveat that with, I'm not saying go like dump all your money in Bitcoin and do something arguably risky. So I mean, we'll give you our opinion on what we think, quote, good enough looks like, because you got to be careful with this. What we're not saying is don't do any research, don't learn anything, and just go throw your money somewhere. Because you could throw your money somewhere like very risky or, questionably irresponsible. And before we get into that, the other thing I'll say too is I think there's a lot of people who are kind of waiting for the perfect moment, right? The right time when they have more money. To your point about that example where, there was some financial planner who you had to have at least $1 million in assets to even work with them. It implies you need a bunch of money. And there's the phrase that I love, which is time in the market is more important than timing the market, right? And so the time in the market is what really matters. And what's the other one? Like the best time to invest was yesterday. The second best time is now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think the best time was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yeah. But it just is a reminder of like, even if you only have $50 to put in $10, right? There's not some brokerages have minimums, but many don't. And there is no perfect moment. So as soon as you have a little bit of extra money, you can start investing now. And that's the other thing I would remind people. And then I think we can really shift to what I think is hopefully, a very actionable part of this discussion, Liz, which is, what we think good enough looks like, which is, one way of thinking of it is kind of, we've referenced like, the 80-20 rule and focusing on the big stuff. So there's, 20% of your actions are going to give you 80% of the results. Like don't worry about and sweat the small stuff. And I think the example of people who really fret and like get into analysis paralysis and whatever else you want to call it on like whether they should do a Roth or a regular 401k when they have access. Some companies don't offer that, but some companies offer you access to both. And then also with an IRA, people really are like, sometimes put a lot of thought into which one of those. And yes, you could predict, if you could predict the future, you could calculate or forecast what would be better for you. And there's, different tax advantages and approaches to both of them. But that is an example of like, if you're waiting to do that analysis and try to get it perfect, and you sit there and don't put any money in either during the course of a year or two, or even months, really.
Yeah.
That's where like you were better off just picking one and putting money in it. Because 80% of that is just putting money into either one of those 401k vehicles is most of the battle.
Yeah. Especially all the boring stuff. You got to just do that right away. Like, I think there's also sometimes conversation about, oh, should I use my IRA or should I put money into my 401k? Does it matter how much my match is? Like that, just pick one. Just put money in.
Yeah.
It is boring. And to your point, yeah, don't throw all your money in Bitcoin. But the boring advice tends to be correct. Put money into your 401k. Put money into your IRA. Buy a boring index fund. Even using, and I think too, if you listen to this podcast, you might be thinking, well, Liz and Maggie, that's really nice that you're saying that. But I have heard you two argue about whether target date retirement funds are a good idea or whether you should be only in U.S. stocks versus international stocks.
Yeah.
That is our hobby.
Yeah. And we're debating it, right? We're like, yes, we enjoy a friendly debate on like the merits and pros and cons of that.
Right. Exactly. This is what we do for fun.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And you'll always hear us say, like, at the end of, I mean, not that it doesn't matter. That's not quite the right phrasing. At the end of the day, it doesn't have a lot of impact.
Don't let it stop you from doing something today, I think is the point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like if you even ask me, like, yes, I would rather you, in my opinion, I'd rather you put your 529 as an example or your 401k into a total market index fund than a target date fund. And we've got an episode I'll put in the show notes where we talk about why. But if you said, no, but I really want to put it in a target fund, I'd be like, cool, put it in a target fund then tomorrow.
Or if you're like,
today.
I don't understand why you're saying total U.S. market fund versus target date fund. And like my HR lady at work said that I'll be defaulted into a target date fund. Is that a problem? Am I going to be ruined? Should I just cancel this altogether? No, it's fine.
Yeah, I'd say no. Still,
it's totally
fine.
Know,
if it's your 401k, still max it out and put in as much as you can.
Yeah.
I think the idea, you just rattled through a bunch of them, Liz, but just to hit some of these like basics of the simple stuff and these basic things we're talking about, it's automating your savings and automating your investments, right? So setting up automatic transfers. Today is Monday, and I have an automatic transfer where I buy $500 of ETI. I can't remember if it's every other Monday or every Monday, but it pops up on my phone and I'm always like, that's great. I didn't have to think about it, right? Mm-hmm. And I set it up through Fidelity and it took me 1 minute. And so, having money automatically pulled out of your core checking account and into a high yield savings account on every paycheck date, right? That's an example of something where it's just, which high yield savings account you're in. You don't need to, obviously try to get one of the higher interest rates. Like, we're big fans of Wealthfront. I've used M1 also, but there's people that love Chase. There's people that I was just talking to somebody who had one and it pays like 0.5% less than Wealthfront. And they don't have a massive amount of money in it. And I was like, well, I mean, you could switch. And I like that Wealthfront consistently tends to have a competitively high rate, but also like the most important thing is that you're putting money into your high yield savings account, right? It's not switching for like another 0.2% or another, even 0.5% at times. And so if you're happy with the one you currently have, I think the bigger thing is, are you getting the 80% part right, which is, are you in the habit of automating your savings? And are you, if you're to the point where you can afford it, are you making regular investments into a brokerage account?
Yep, I totally agree. Even though, sorry, I'm just like laughing again because you and I did a whole episode about high yield savings accounts.
Yeah.
And do you remember I said something like, I mean, if you already bank with a bank and they offer something that's at 3%, don't feel like you need to like go get something that's 4 or 5. And you were like,
I don't know, for like a 1.5. So that's my question for you. What would the percentage difference need to be for you to switch high yield savings accounts and like move your money?
Okay, so that's a really good question, but the answer isn't like what would the percent need to be. It would be like where would your life need to be for you to carve out.
There's a lot of factors.
The mental and emotional bandwidth to switch everything over to another place. Like last year, there was no interest rate that could have made me switch accounts. Like my life was too chaotic. This year, I mean,
yeah, that's a good point. Mine is $50 a month. It's going to need to equate to $50 a month or more for me to like make that move and believe that it's in terms of like, that's not giving you an interest rate. That's giving you like a total amount I'm earning in interest per month.
That feels low to me.
I just made that number up. No, I would do that. For me, But again, that's part of it is the point I'm at in my life. That's $500 to $600 a year in a difference.
Right.
I will switch accounts but I'm not going to do it constantly for like a new offer.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it if I believe like Wealthfront to me has consistently shown that they are always competitive of like, when the Fed lowers or decreases interest rates, they're always like,
they just follow it immediately.
Yeah. And they're consistent. Yeah. And they're fast and they make the move quickly. And so I would move for $500 or $600, but I also don't have the job I used to have. Back when I was making a lot of money in corporate America, I was sort of the example you're giving of like, I didn't have time to do that stuff. It wasn't a priority.
Yeah. This is, and again, I don't mean to go down the rabbit hole of saying the opposite. I just want to in case you're sitting and listening and thinking, okay, hypocrites, you two literally did 45 minutes on making sure you had the highest rate on your high yield savings.
Because we got to talk about something on here,
That's because and again, we're going to talk, we have been talking a lot about, okay, don't waste time on this, don't waste time on this. Listen, if it's your hobby, this is my hobby. This is something I do in my life and I enjoy it. I like making the color-coded spreadsheets. I like falling down a rabbit hole and reading about how, if you make your HSA contributions via payroll, you actually get this very slight extra tax advantage versus doing it outside. And that is fun for me. And so I like to do it and I like to talk about it. But I also need to, I would say you and I, Maggie, both need to also come up for air sometimes and remember that it's not everybody's hobby. A lot of people don't.
It's not most people's hobby. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're the edge cases.
Right. So that's
anytime I think I'm not, it's just because I'm in an echo chamber of other edge cases.
This came up so frequently at Camp Fi. I went to my first Camp Fi this last summer. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was just a few months ago. It feels like a long time ago. And there was a lot of incredibly smart people in the room who were very quick to point out, oh, well, you could slightly optimize by doing this or this or that.
Yes.
And there were a lot of smart people in the room who were also quick to respond. In terms of my priorities, simple is higher than optimized.
Yes. So Camp Fi is a good example of often the people there are often focused on the final 20%, because they've already done the 80% and they nerd out on this stuff. And I put myself into that category sometimes, but there's a lot of times where I'm, again, I'm kind of realistic. Even when I do some financial coaching, which I don't do a ton of, but I do sometimes, I look at, to your point, Liz, on where people are at in their lives and what's realistic and if they're going to do it. And if someone's really pushing back on why they really feel more comfortable staying in a target date fund, I'm like, cool, stay in a target date fund. I just want to let you know what you're getting out of that and what you're paying for it and everything else. So on that note, another example is of what good enough looks like is, I know you are a big fan. For those who don't know, Liz loves HSAs. I do too. I haven't been able to participate in one in the last couple of years, but I loved them when I was on my own insurance plan. And the idea of maxing out your 401k to the federal limit if you can afford to, or as much as you can afford to, and also an HSA, which is a health savings account. The idea of putting as much money as possible into those accounts, that's the 80%. And then making sure they're invested in something, which, by the way, you do have to do. When you just throw money into an HSA, it sits there as cash most of the time. Sometimes your 401k is auto-invested, but you got to set them up to invest in something. And so getting as much money into those accounts as possible, they're very heavily tax optimized accounts, tax efficient accounts, and making sure that they're invested in something, that's 80% of it, right? Optimizing exactly what they're invested in, that's the final 20%.
Right. Optimizing what day of the month you put it in, or do you front load it at the beginning of the year versus putting a little in every month, or did you accidentally contribute too much too early and so you missed out on a little bit of match, or none of those things matter as much as just how many dollars you're actually putting in.
Yeah, totally.
Agreed. I mean, and if you want to nerd out about all the rest, you just come sit by us. You're in the right place.
Yeah.
But that's for fun.
Yes.
That's not something to stress over. That's just something to look at for fun.
Yeah. I think that's the big takeaway here, is that the message we're trying to convey, in case you haven't picked up on it yet, which, by the way, is high likelihood, just based on the fact that we talk a lot about lots of things And by the way, Rascal Flatts is the one that sings that song.
Oh, perfect.
It's Bless the Broken Road, which just further proves my point of how people may not be tracking what we're putting down here. Just kidding. I know you guys are tracking us because you're smart. You're smart people. But like I don't even remember what my point was. So let's just move on.
Okay.
I was just reiterating the 80%, right? It's the message is for the people who get stressed out by the 20%. If you get excited by the 20%, go for it. Do it. Like Liz was saying, sometimes we get excited by this whole podcast is sometimes talking about the 20%. But the 80% is what you really want to get right if you're overwhelmed by all this stuff. And I talk to so many people all the time that are overwhelmed by what to do and how to do it. And that's who I'm talking to today. That's who we are talking to today is the people who are feeling overwhelmed. And we just want to remind you what good enough looks like and to not let perfect be the enemy of the good. Of good or the good.
The good.
You want to think about it.
I liked the way I heard at Camp 5 something I wrote down, and I'm not a big note taker.
Yeah, I am.
I wish
I have a bad memory, but that's why.
No, I think I wish I was a better note taker, but I didn't. There were people at Camp 5. Camp 5, by the way, are these like weekend get-togethers for people who are into early retirement. They are the most fun in the world. But I probably wrote down maybe 6 notes across the whole weekend, which feels low.
I want to see what they are. But it feels like they're low, but like they must be a high threshold,
Yeah, but one of them was simple is better than optimized, which is just like a really simple way to capture. Listen, we'll just scrap this whole episode. Simple is better than optimized.
Done. Mic drop. Let's hang up now.
Exactly. And yeah, there's some tweaks you can make around the edges to squeeze an extra couple bucks of tax advantage or investment returns or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, too, you were just trying to like get this done so you can go back to playing pickleball or baking cookies or playing with your kids or doing the things you actually enjoy.
Yeah. Even just working, right? Just so you can have like a more efficient life.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question for you, Liz.
Okay.
Tied to the simple is better than optimize.
Okay.
And like in the vein of what good enough looks like.
Okay.
A very popular debate, which we don't talk about that often on this podcast, is like the latte factor.
Oh, yeah.
What is your point of view on the latte? Well, can you explain and then tell me your general point? I love a latte too. Good soy milk in particular latte. What's your point of view?
Well, okay, so the latte factor is one way to describe this ongoing, forever, perpetual debate in the personal finance world of should you focus on large expenses or should you focus on small expenses? And honestly,
like your daily latte.
Right. So should you focus on finding the cheapest gas prices, cutting out your daily coffee, clipping coupons for groceries.
Spending at Aldi versus Publix.
Right.
Yeah.
Or should you kind of only focus on the bigger things, like what your mortgage payment or housing is, what is your car payment, how much are you contributing to your 401k, those kinds of things. And it's just like the silliest debate in the whole world because the answer is both.
All of it. Depends.
The answer is...
What if you don't spend any money on lattes?
Well, the answer is if you cut out your daily coffee habit, like mathematically, that's not going to make a big difference. Like, cutting... Well, I was about to say, I think the conversation used to be $3 a day for coffee, and now it's like $8. I swear, every time I go to a coffee shop...
It's like 10 if you want to leave a nice tip, too.
I know. Well, I'm always like, I want a burrito, and there's 2 of us, and somehow it's like as much as... It ends up being like $30. But... At the end of the day, cutting your $8 latte daily, weekly, whatever, is not going to move the needle that much. But being in a frugal mindset, being in a mindset of a place where you pay attention to those kinds of things probably is something that's going to move the needle in the long run.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I mean, if you only pay attention to the big things and you pay zero attention to the small thing, the whole thing is just...
It's not a binary choice.
You could apply it to literally anything. Should I focus on the big picture, the details? I don't know. It depends on what day is it? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to optimize for?
What's broken? Right. Yes.
Exactly. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I agree with you for what it's worth.
Good. You better.
We can continue doing this podcast together now.
Good. We can still be friends. I actually think we're going to do... I hope we do a whole book club episode about Morgan Housel's new book.
Oh, we are.
Oh, we are. Okay,
we are. Don't you? It's required. It's required.
It's required
recording.
attendance to maintain.
Yes, required attendance. It's just Andrew was in Australia for the World Championship Grand Fondo thingamajig cycling bike race, and it was kind of a big deal. And he might have won first place in the time trials, the TTs for like everybody. No, he won first place in his age group and the second place like overall in the whole world for time trials.
Second fastest cyclist in the whole world.
Yeah, for time trials. Yeah,
that's bananas. Out of 8 billion people, that's pretty good.
It's really good. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do a whole episode about Morgan Housel's new book, and I just think that there have been people over the years who have very eloquently put both sides of this debate. One, pay attention to small decisions. It determines your mindset. It puts you in this headspace where you're just thinking about optimizing and searching for the best outcomes. And then there are people like, I think Ramit Sethi says, pay attention to the $30,000 questions, not the $3 questions. And I think he also puts that very well. And I thought Morgan, I had mixed feelings about his book, overall positive, but I thought one of the things he did most effectively was talk about this debate is so silly. And like everyone just needs to optimize for their own personal preferences and their life and your experiences and what you're going for. And sometimes that means the small things. Sometimes it means the big things. And he said the opposite of a good idea can also be a good idea.
Yes. You have a very good memory and like ability to recount things like that.
Oh, I don't take notes. Gretchen Rubin also said, which I also have mixed feelings about Gretchen Rubin as an author, but she says...
Is there anyone you don't have mixed feelings about? But wait, finish your point about Gretchen
Kai
Rubin.
Rizdal. Only hard eye emojis. He's not an author, but he's a person.
What about Lizzo?
Mostly hard emojis.
Positive.
She had like a big scandal a while ago, but I don't know.
What was it? I didn't even hear it.
She was people said that she was being unkind or abusive to her dancers on the tour.
Oh. But
I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyways.
Right.
Gretchen Rubin says the opposite of a profound truth. A profound truth is also often a profound truth. And this is anyway. That was a much longer answer than what you were probably expecting when you asked me what I think about the latte factor, but
no, I like it.
But that's my opinion.
I mean, also, Taylor Swift says, good thing I like my friends canceled. I like them cloaked in Gucci and in Scandal.
I love that song. Good thing I like my friends.
First off, it's a great beat, but I kind of like her point because I don't know her or her point, but I'm just going to like elaborate on what I think it is.
I don't know her.
No, I wish I did, but she's definitely using a financial planner, I'm going to say, but I could be wrong. And gosh, the 1% fee on that, who knows? Anyways, okay, I'm getting off topic here. I'm getting off topic.
Off topic.
But I like the theme of that song because it's like, you don't know a lot of these things, like even when you made that reference to Lizzo, you're like, well, I don't know that though. That's like, there's all sorts of rumors and things that aren't actually true. And I like that she says it at some point. Doesn't matter. I'm going to get off this.
I like how you said,
it's easy to love you when you're pop.
Because
go ahead.
One of my favorite things that ever happened was I messaged one of my favorite Peloton instructors, Alex Karwoski, who teaches on the rower and on the treadmill at Peloton. And he's so just funny and delightful and just a really 5-star human. And I sent him, I said, hey, I did a podcast episode on Liz Gets Loaded about buying my Peloton rower. And he said, oh, I'm going to listen to it. And I said, okay, well, make sure you leave a review, like joking, right? And then he did leave a review, but it said, I don't know, Liz, but I like this podcast. And I was like, well, most people listening
don't know.
That's like how podcasts work. You don't usually just listen to podcasts from people you actually know.
Yeah. It'd be weird to be like, oh, I'm Liz's mom. Of course I love this podcast.
Exactly.
5-star review.
Anyways, it just made me laugh when you said, I don't know Taylor Swift. I was like, I don't either. I don't know Taylor Swift, but I think she's got some good songs. I mean, I don't know her, but...
I don't know her, but I'd like to go on record saying I actually love her new album. Most of my kids don't. The teenager crews are very... That's a trend. And I think they're maybe influenced by each other. Okay, we've really gotten off track here. But I'm going to get us back on track because that's what I always have to do.
Taylor Swift puts a new album out, I think, every 2 years. And if she, she could probably spend a lot more time. If she wanted them to be perfect, maybe she would only put one out every 3 years or every 4 years or every 5 years. And instead, she just makes her art and she puts it out in the world and we all benefit from that perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, some people probably think that those albums are already perfect, but I'm just saying.
And she got some flack on this one because there was some criticism. Even though it's like the number one most sell, it's still reached all these like records.
It's a bop. There's a lot of bop.
And it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
But she got some criticism and she responded to it. Greg gives me these like news updates because he follows them more closely. She responded to it and was like, look, I'm being totally serious for what it's worth.
I just teasing.
So she's like, look, and I'm paraphrasing this, and it's like hearsay because Greg told me.
She said something and then Greg told you. I can't wait to
Then
hear
Greg
how
heard
this game of telephone plays.
Basically, yeah, who knows what she actually said, but what I heard from Greg, that he heard from her, and he also doesn't know her, was that she was like, look, this is my art. Like, not everyone's going to love it all the time, right? Like, this is what I put out there, and it might not be for everyone. And she was kind of like, this is what I'm going through in my life. And that's what I kept telling my kids when they were kind of critical of it. I was like, look, Taylor Swift's 35. She's closer to my age than she is y'all's age.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, she's talking about things that I can relate to and that I find joy in. Like, she's happy and she's in a relationship, and like, it's lovely to hear her sing about it.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking about, even in the Canceled song, like it's nuanced,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even think my kids can like fully understand and appreciate some of these things she's talking about. Anyways.
It's kind of like our podcast. Like, this is our art. This is just like what we're going through in our lives.
And it's not for everyone.
And it's not for everyone.
And if you don't like it.
But if you're still listening, it's probably for you because you listen to the the actual information part of it and then followed us.
You're still here.
Yeah. Maze.
And if you're still here, you should go leave us a review. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't leave us a review. But just thank you for checking it out and have a lovely day.
You can still leave a review if you don't like it.
You can.
But I'm
just saying.
So what I thought you were going to say that Greg told you, because I saw a clip of an interview with Taylor Swift, and she said, listen, if you're saying my name or the name of the album, you're helping. Whether you're saying nice things or not.
That's nice.
I thought so.
Well, that's right. Same thing about this podcast.
If you're saying our names or the names of the podcast, you're helping.
True. Okay. Do we have anything else to get to, like, on this topic? Should have we hit some good examples? Like, I don't know how we tied this all back in together to Taylor Swift and Lizzo and Rascal Flatts and
I think maybe the only other point I might want to make sure that we hit is we talked a lot about investing. Like, we talked a lot about just picking a sensible fund, about using your tax advantaged accounts, about not getting analysis paralysis. But this also expands to lots of other places that are financially related. So I don't know about you. I spent a lot of time at a certain point in my life Googling like different ways to budget. Should I do a zero-based budget? Should I do a 50, 20, 30 method? Should I use YNAB? Should I use Monarch? And again, I enjoyed that because I'm a dork and that was fun for me. But that can also be something where you get stuck, I think, in terms of how you even budget. Do you use a spreadsheet? Do you use a tool?
Yeah. And I think I think the answer is like a lot of the things we've said. It depends on you and who you are. And do you like tools? Do you like something old school and manual? Do you want to keep it with, pencil and paper, which I know people that actually do, and they like that and it works for them and that's fine. And so back to the theme, like, don't let perfect stop you from making progress.
Right. And it's not even like, something that's perfect for you might be different than what's perfect for someone else. It's like, yeah, just, I don't know, try it. Like, do pen and paper for 3 months and then try Monarch for 3 months and then try YNAB for a month. Like, just give it a go. You can always change it. You're not married to it.
Yeah.
I thought YNAB was my...
You were once married to YNAB. You acted like you were married to YNAB.
I know. I thought they were. And then I tried Monarch and I was like, oh, wait.
Then you had an affair with Monarch and...
Well, I tried Monarch a first time, and I tried Monarch
a long time ago?
Yeah, when I tried Monarch when Mint was still a thing, and I remember thinking, well, this is so close to Mint. Why would I pay money for this when Mint is available for free?
Yeah.
And then, so in my mind, I'd kind of, that morphed into, oh, well, I've tried Monarch and I didn't love it. And then I forgot that the reason I didn't love it is because it was basically Mint, but you had to pay for it. Anyways, then I went to YNAB and then I went to Monarch. But it doesn't, like... You can change your mind. I would say don't spend a month Googling or thinking about how you want to budget. Just like budget.
Yeah. Start somewhere.
Exactly. Same with an emergency fund. I mean, how many questions do we get about like how much should I have in my emergency fund? And you could spend a lot of time thinking and optimizing for how much you want to put in there, or you just start sucking some money away.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the same thing on the flip side of like budgeting on paying off debt, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whether you pay off debt, there's the snowball method, there's the avalanche method.
There's the snowflake, there's the freezing rain, there's the hurricane, the tornado.
What do you call that? Hard rain? What do you call a sleet? There's the sleet method. We're making up some of these.
There's the was it the Sonic ice? Oh my wait, can I tell you something so funny?
Yeah. Is it about Sonic?
Yes.
The restaurant Sonic?
Yes. Okay, wait. So just to finish this thought, we're just, there's a lot of different ways to pay off debt, like high.
The issue is debt, like especially like high interest credit card debt. Like it is wealth killing. The issue is you want to pay off debt, right? In which order you do it. Like you don't need to just start throwing money at it and then
exactly.
Until you get a chance to over optimize it and figure out the most efficient way to do it. Wait, okay, what's the Sonic?
Okay, but the two most common ways to pay off debt are avalanche and snowball method is what they're called. And then just now Meg and I jokingly started naming different kinds of like cold water, basically. And it reminded me, you know how people love Sonic ice, like the little tiny ice cubes that you get at a Sonic?
I didn't know they have like great ice.
Oh,
there's not a lot of Sonics around me, but they have like the air-filled ice. I know.
It's like the tiny little pellets. It's like the ice that comes in a little thing.
Yeah. I know what kind of ice you're talking about, but I didn't know Sonic had that.
So I've always called it Sonic. I think it's common to call it Sonic ice. And then you can buy a little ice maker for your house. And I was like, I kind of want to get one of those because I really like that ice, but they're surprisingly expensive. I want to say they're like several $100s, and then they also
it's because they're like infusing air into the ice. It's a complicated method. Yeah, it's the ice is light and airy. It's not like hard, solid.
The size. Okay, got it.
No, it's not just the size. I know an odd amount about ice machines. I won't get into why because we don't have time for that.
Well, we got time for this, so I don't know. That's what I was telling.
You got to draw the line somewhere, though.
I was talking about Sonic ice to my partner, and then I want to say like a year later, my partner was like, "So Sonic ice is like the ice they sell at Sonic?" And I said, "Yeah."
What did you think? What they think it was?
like sonic sound waves like played while the ice was freezing. Wow. But it was like a special way of freezing ice that included sonic sound waves. And I was like, no, that's just the kind of ice they have at Sonic. And it really made me.
When you first said Sonic ice, first off, I knew you were making a joke, but I assumed you were talking about the restaurant. I'm not sure why, but I just right away went to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I like it.
Anyways.
Maybe that's a whole new type of ice that's coming down. Okay, I'm going to try to segue from ice back to this, but, sometimes you just need ice. You don't need to worry about what kind of ice you have.
Exactly, exactly.
I think we can start to, like, wrap this up.
I think we did it.
Liz, would you agree? We've done it. We do it, and then we, like, really, like, hammer it even further into the ground than it needs to go.
I think we're thorough.
We are thorough. We're beyond. There's got to be a word. Thorough implies like. Let me look up the definition of thorough real quick because it's going to help make my point. Thorough is complete with regard to every detail, not superficial or partial. We are definitely not superficial or partial. But every detail, thorough implies to me that it's like related to the topic, right? So we sort of go beyond the topic.
We're extra. For free.
Yeah,
give you a little more for free.
Yeah, we're doing the most. Ironically, though, let me close this up with that. Because our point is thoroughness or doing the most, as like the kids say. You know when they say like you're doing the most?
Mm-hmm. Do less.
It means you're doing too much. Yeah,
do less. Too much.
You're doing too much. And simple is better than optimized, right? Like that's what you want to remember is you don't need to sweat every single little detail, right? The goal is not to be flawless.
Mm-hmm.
It's to be consistent and build strong, good enough habits that will compound over time, which is spending less than you make, investing the difference, trying to pay off your debt as aggressively as you can, trying to maximize tax-advantaged vehicles like a 401k and an HSA. And you don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start was today. Mm-hmm. Or I liked yours. The best time to start was like maybe 30, 20 years ago. And
I think we could just close this with, I'd encourage you all to think of one specific actionable step that you need to take that maybe is more focused on the 80%, something you've been dragging your heels on because you've been trying to work out the 20%. But like, just get the 80% part done today.
Mine is, I don't know if you feel like you have one, but I need to consolidate. We have between us probably, I don't know, 20 retirement accounts of between various 401ks and HSAs sprinkled across different employers. And I feel like every time I start to think about consolidating them, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be...
What if I just easy to roll them over, though?
I know.
Just do one. You're right.
Exactly.
But I actually think that's fun. Back to like I'm like, I would be like, oh my God, it sounds fun to consolidate all those into one.
Yeah, well.
Sounds fun.
I'll give you my login. Go do it.
I would love to do it for you. I would be happy to do it for you.
I would like that too.
But yeah, that's the thing of just start with one. And then it might feel so good, perhaps you'll get the second one done.
Yeah, momentum is definitely a powerful thing.
A real thing. Okay.
Do you have anything? No?
Oh,
you're like, no, I'm perfect the way
I still need to like do some old cleanup from like when I closed down my Wealthfront brokerage, my like robo investing account, and moved it all into Fidelity. I sometimes like, a couple years ago I sold stuff. It's like stuff I don't want to own anymore. That's like just random things that Wealthfront had me in. And I want to simplify my portfolio and get it back to what I would like it looking like. But I also don't want to pay for capital gains. But every now and then I like look at it and I'm like, I should like clean up. I try to clean up a little bit of it like every year.
This is that's the 20%. This is a 20% thing. This is not an 80%.
It's 20%. I've done the 80% stuff, right? Yeah, I don't. So most of the stuff that I still need to do are the 20% things.
And you're fine. Actually, look at you. You were retired. You're thriving.
I'm doing okay. Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah. On that note, I'm doing okay.
Amazing.
And
I think we did it.
Yeah, we did it. Thank you all for listening. Again, if you're still here, you get like something special, like a virtual pat on the back from Liz and I. We always appreciate you spending some time with us. If you've enjoyed this episode, we love it when you want to leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hey, there's like, 20% of things you could do to like overly optimize a podcast, but like 80% is like good reviews. Just saying.
And sharing it with a friend.
Sharing it with a friend. Those two things alone are one of the best things you could do. I agree.
Totally. And if you listened all the way to the end, the next time you see one of us on social, feel free to respond perfect with all caps.
I like it. What a time to be alive.
I know.
Perfect.
I know. I love when people send me what a time to be alive. Or
I hope someone screams perfect at me soon.
I hope so.
We'll never make the soup again. I forgot about that.
I worked in an office.
It's soup season too, so.
Remember when we all used to go in an office and like be around other people all the time?
Uh-huh.
I worked with a woman who said perfect. Maybe not every sentence, but maybe every 3
it was just
sentences.
like her word.
Yeah. Perfect. And I think about her every time I say something is perfect. She's perfect.
Well, she probably was misusing it because I doubt all those things were perfect.
They probably weren't. Yeah, they were probably pretty good.
I used to do that with the term literally. I had to like kind of get it out of because it was also misused. It was not literal.
I just recently started when I'm on a Zoom call or a Teams call or whatever I'm on at work. You can turn on closed captioning that's live. And I just watch the number of times I say like in a meeting.
Oh.
And I'm trying to get better.
I used to have a coworker, shout out to Lisa. And one time at like some event where we had to speak, both of us were speaking a lot for some reason at some event. We were counting each other's likes and like keeping a tally. Oh, I just said it while I said it. Because we both were trying to say it less and we're aware that we said it too often.
Mm-hmm.
I actually keep a little notepad here that says some words I say. I also say right a lot, I notice.
Same. And
right.
it is, I don't know. Everyone has a little verbal stall or verbal tick, especially.
Yeah.
I think it's both harder and easier. I think when I am on Inside Out Money with you, well, it's more fun because we're together. And it's more conversational, so I think less about what I'm saying. But my podcast, Let's Get Loaded, it's a solo podcast, and so it's just me talking. And so I say, right? But then there's nobody there. But you...
Right? You're saying it to yourself.
Anyways.
Right?
Okay, here's what not to do. Do not send us messages about other verbal tics and stalls that we have. We know. And
we're aware. I edit this podcast myself. I'm very aware of not only mine, but everybody's. So
I listen back to it, and I always enjoy listening back, but I also am critical of myself.
But I want to,
Oh yeah, I forgot. We're not even done. I was like, okay, bye.
Also, if you have any thoughts or questions, we would love to hear from you, and you can leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370 or hit us up on Instagram. We reply to all of those, and if you don't hear back for some reason, like shoot us another note because it's just that it somehow got overlooked. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Liz, we did it.
We did it.
We did it, and then some, as usual.
You get extra for tangents included. Taylor Swift and Lizzo analysis.
When we were like 20 minutes in, I was like, oh, this is going to be like a 30, 40-minute episode. This is going to be a quick, but we have a way of just... Never. Yeah. Never.
Okay. I always wonder if people look at the length of the episode and do you know, as a listener, because I also listen because we drink our own champagne around here.
Yeah, we do.
I always look at the topics and I try to guess who the co-host is before
you read.
I click in to listen to it.
You can tell based on the length which ones are ours.
Yeah.
There's a trend, especially more recently. There's a trend. Okay.
I can't wait until I early retire and then we can make 3-hour episodes every day. It's going to be great.
We'll have like a live Patreon. It just kind of runs all day long.
We really should, whenever
like a
that
Twitch
is,
channel.
Do like a 31 days of podcasting, but 31 days of Inside Out Money. That would be so fun.
Yeah. Or it'll be unedited though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's even better, you know?
By the time I early retire, there will be
Inside
AI
Out
editing.
Money gone wild.
Inside Out Money gone wild. Inside Out Money gone totally freaking nuts.
Okay, we're still recording, so bye, Liz.
We did it. Bye.
Bye. See you later. Thanks.
Round and round.
Round and round. Don't you miss that ending? Simple is better. There's a simple opener and a simple closer.
I kind of like the round and round at the end, but I like that you get straight into the episodes now.
Round and round. Bye-bye.
Bye.